to trying to find common ground whenever and wherever possible to solve the real challenges facing the American people. We just need partners to do that. And so I think it's our hope that my Republican colleagues will start to get serious about addressing challenges. Today on the floor, we're going to be considering something called the Rein In Act. This is the grand Republican plan on the economy. It's 3 pages. It calls for reports that many people believe to be duplicative and unnecessary. That's their plan. Is it a distraction from the fact that the Republicans really want to dramatically cut Social Security and Medicare? Is it a distraction from some of the budget ideas that extreme MAGA Republicans have put into the public domain this week that will hurt the safety, economic well-being, health of the American people? It's time for my Republican colleagues to get serious and put forward serious proposals, not silliness like the Rein In Act.
But do you think that they should weigh, I mean, Republicans have always talked about local control and things like that, and here they are trying to infuse themselves from the federal level into education.
House Democrats are going to continue to focus on the challenges confronting the American people, including making sure that we support the education of our children. That education should involve, I think in the view of many of us, investing in making sure our young people learn science, technology, engineering, mathematics, reading, and critical thinking skills. I'm not in a position to comment on the precise nature of this bill because this is the first that I'm hearing of it. But if it's consistent with some of the other activities that we see going on throughout the country, it's probably not a serious endeavor.
Thank you, Congressman. Now, what are your thoughts on Kevin McCarthy granting Tucker Carlson access to January 6 footage while leaving out other media outlets, and in general is releasing the footage exposing the Capitol to security risk?
Well, House Democrats have been pretty clear that providing security footage in a manner that would jeopardize protocols, the safety, the well-being of everyone who serves in this Capitol, including staff, as well as the Capitol Police and visitors who come from all throughout the country to experience the citadel of our democracy, is an irresponsible thing. It appears that extreme MAGA Republicans may be putting the brakes on what was a clearly irresponsible act, but that remains to be seen. We'll have to figure out an appropriate way to balance a set of interests in transparency around what happened during the violent insurrection, but to do it in a way that does not irresponsibly jeopardize the security and safety of all who serve or visit the Capitol.
So you just said you need to find a balance between transparency and protecting security. If Capitol Police do agree that the footage has been vetted and protects the security, do you think the American people should have better access to have a better understanding of what happened on January 6th?
The first step and the most important step is to make sure that the Capitol Police vet all of the security footage that is even being contemplated to present to the American people. Once that happens, then we may be in a position to evaluate how to balance the interests that include transparency as it relates to the events of January 6th. The January 6th committee under the leadership of Chairman Benny Thompson has done a phenomenal job of doing just that. There were protocols that were in place that the extreme MAGA Republican majority decided to breach, perhaps because of agreements that had been reached with some of the more extreme elements of their party. That's for others to explain. I can't really clarify why we find ourselves in this position, but the fact that we do find ourselves in this position means that the most important thing that can happen is that the Capitol Police are brought into this to vet all security video footage. We're going back to this side, back.
Thank you. What makes you said that it seems that the Republicans might be putting the brakes on their decision. What makes you think that?
That there are reports in the public domain that concerns have been expressed by members of the House Republican leadership team as to what exactly has transpired and whether the disclosure of video footage could jeopardize the health, the safety, the security of the people who work at the Capitol or serve or visit the Capitol.
And just on a separate topic, real quickly, the president is about to go to speak with you all at your retreat this evening. President Biden is also facing the first veto of his presidency if the Senate is able to pass this Department of Labor rule this afternoon. We'll see, maybe next week with these DC crime bills. You know, what does this say about what President Biden and Democrats are going to be able to do this year confronting a divided government here in the House?
Well, House Democrats are going to continue to remain strongly unified behind the president and his agenda, which is putting everyday Americans first and investing in an economy from the middle out and the bottom up, as opposed to the top down, which is the agenda of the extreme MAGA Republican majority. Tax cuts for the wealthy, the well-off, and the well-connected, which has already irresponsibly put us into the fiscal situation that we are in right now with a dramatic decline in revenues, all relating to the GOP tax scam of 2017. You go to the back.
Were you satisfied with yesterday's briefing on the classified documents, or do you want more?
Yeah, I want to refrain from commenting on any classified briefing.
Related to the January 6th discussion, Speaker McCarthy was talking about your discussions with him on the code of conduct. Can you update us on how that's going? And are you speaking to Speaker McCarthy or anyone from your team about the January 6th footage now that it seems like maybe there's a discussion happening?
Well, we're going to continue to express our position with respect to the security footage in a manner consistent with what has been said by Chairman Benny Thompson, as well as Joe Morelli, the top Democrat on the House Administration Committee, and consistent with things that I've said earlier. We talk about a whole host of things, and I've expressed my position to him on this issue.
Jeffries,
Sorry, we're going to go back to the other side.
are you pleased with how Republicans are talking about and addressing China at this point? There's a bunch of hearings yesterday, the first China Select Committee yesterday. Are you pleased with the tenor of the conversation so far?
Well, it's my hope that the approach taken by the Select Committee on the Strategic Competition between the United States and the Chinese Communist Party will be serious and sober and thoughtful in addressing the strategic challenges that our country confronts relative to our relationship with the Chinese Communist Party. And if that happens, then the Select Committee will be in a position to perhaps present some ideas in the public domain as to how we as policymakers should be thinking about the strategic competition between our two countries. What we have to avoid the type of xenophobic activity that far too many elements within the extreme MAGA Republican majority seem to be interested in promoting.
Xenophobia concerns. Is there also a concern of over-aggression coming out of this committee too that might increase tensions?
Well, the committee needs to be serious and sober and balanced in how it approaches a complicated issue that I think Raja Krishnamurthy has done a very good job of articulating many of the concerns that the committee should tackle and tackle in a responsible way.
Is it your position?
Sorry.
Hi. You and Leader Schumer sent a letter to Fox News earlier today saying that you would like to see the primetime host publicly recant the big lie. Were that not to happen, what are you planning to instruct your members in both chambers or ask them to do with regard to Fox News? Are you going to be a boycott? Is there going to be some sort of What's your recourse if this doesn't happen?
Well, the letter speaks for itself, and it relates specifically to the issue of the big lie, which apparently was well understood at the highest levels of Fox News. And I think Leader Schumer and myself simply expressed the position that since everyone seems to clearly understand that Joe Biden won the 2020 presidential election, that Donald Trump perpetrated a big lie to the American people that has had dangerous consequences, including a rise in political violence and an insurrection as part of an effort to halt the peaceful transfer of power, that perhaps it's time for America to be able to move past that big lie, and an important step would be those who know it was a big lie to publicly repudiate it.
And if they don't,
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
is it your position?
Back.
Thanks, Leader Jeffries. Back to the video footage for a second. Just talking to your Democratic colleagues, I think it's fair to say that they don't have a lot of confidence that Tucker Carlson is going to formulate a narrative that is fair and objective. With that in mind, are you planning any kind of strategy to respond, any kind of fact check to respond in real time as this footage is aired, understanding that we don't know when or what it's going to show?
Well, the January 6th Select Committee did a tremendous job of explaining to the American people what happened on that fateful day during the violent insurrection, why it happened, and has laid out some paths in terms of how we as a country might come together to prevent that type of political attack on the Congress, the country, and the Constitution from ever happening again. And so we'll see where it goes, but we are in conversation with each other as House Democrats, led by, of course, the members of the January 6th committee and the members of the House Administration Committee.
So is it your position that the January 6th committee offered a complete picture of what happened on January 6th, or do you think that more could be shown?
The January 6th committee presented an incredibly comprehensive and thorough picture of what happened on January 6th using a variety of different means, including, yes, video footage, but perhaps even more significantly, the narrative of January 6th was told through the lens of Donald Trump's closest allies who were part of his administration, who revealed what happened in terms of leading up to the violent insurrection, and also the failure of former President Trump to do anything meaningful to stop it. That story was told, it's in the public record, and it was done in a tremendous way and in a bipartisan way by the members of the January 6th Select Committee.
The president's set to reveal his budget next week. Do you believe that there are any spending cuts that need to happen in order to fix our fiscal situation right now?
I'm not going to get out ahead of the president's budget, but I do look forward to President Biden presenting his budget to the American people. Here's the thing. Where is the Republican plan? Where is it? All this talk about trying to address the fiscal concerns that many of them have articulated is growing old in the absence of presenting an actual plan. President Biden is presenting his plan on Thursday, March 9th. House Republicans have had years to produce a plan. They were measuring the drapes. There was an expectation that they were going to win 40, 50, 60 seats. They've been talking about these issues for years. Where is the House Republican budget plan? Produce it, and then we can have a dialogue about where we should be going in terms of the economic well-being of the American people.
Now, do you hold that there is reckless spending in Washington right now that needs to be addressed?
I hold that the House Republicans should produce a plan. I can tell you that we will not support the extreme MAGA Republican effort to cut, if not eliminate, Social Security, and Medicare. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Are you gonna agree to that?
Thank you, everyone.
That was nice, Manny. Yeah, I was going back and forth with the audience.
Yeah.
Annie, you want me to pull you up here?
Yeah, please.
Which one are you?
That one, I think it's 11 or no? Here, I'll pull the cable.